We'd like to have the immediate ones in the first row. Rabbi? Immediate mourners, the immediates are the immediates in the first row, and then they want to change. Just let the parents and the here, Jonathan, here, and siblings, spouses, siblings and spouses, parents, please. And now you can sit wherever you want. First row, second row.
Florie and Andy.
Please be seated.
Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex and too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gifts of spirit our loved one gave us cannot be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or even tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hours, we know that some of their light and their warmth will always be with us, bringing comfort and courage, and in the fullness of time, healing and peace. We're here to honor the memory, celebrate the life of Shana Marley Goldberg Perellis. Every death, every loss brings pain and sadness. But there are ones that are harder than others, and there's no denying that this is a heartbreaking loss. Someone young and full of life, a new mother. And as we look for a way forward, we have the model of the way that she lived, the way that she cared for others, living life to the fullest, full of love. It doesn't erase that pain, but it can show us a path forward. We're here for the mourners, husband Jonathan Perellis, sons Stanley and Dylan, grandmother Arlene Goldberg, parents Betti and Neal Goldberg, brother Joey and his wife Sara Goldberg, sister Liza and her husband Jeffrey Elsner, and the in-laws who are truly like family, cousins who are like siblings. Family is truly bereft for a person who was so gifted at making connections. In these times, we turn to the words of our tradition for comfort and solace, just as we will turn to words of recollection and memory. We look to Psalm 23 for healing, a reminder that we are never alone. There is always company and guidance. I will sing Psalm 23 in Hebrew, followed by reading the English. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai ro'i lo echsar, binot eshe yarbitzeni, al mei mnuchot yinaleini. Nafshi shovev, nafshi shovev, yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begei tzalmavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha Hema yenachamuni taroch lefanai shulchan neged sorerai dishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya Ach tov v'chesed yidifuni kol yimei chayai v'shavti b'veit Adonai v'shavti b'veit Adonai leorech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We want to, this time, hear words, loving words, of those who knew Shana, loved Shana, and for them to share their memories so that we can ensure that her memory will be a blessing. I'd like to invite her husband, Jonathan Perellis.
Well, if anybody knows me, I'm not really the best public speaker, and, you know, my wife was always the speaker in our family, and it'll continue because she could never trust what I would say or what would come out of my mouth, so I'll keep it short for your sake, but I think I'll get the last laugh on this one for having the speech. But to know Shana is the greatest gift in the world, and 4 years of dating, 5 years of marital bliss that brought two beautiful boys. And, you know, she's connected in more ways than I could have ever imagined. And I used to think that it was crazy that you'd have this many like circles of friends and friends of friends, and because I have a core group and she has a million other people, and I always question how you could possibly keep up with every single person, and she did it. she was one to reach out to if you needed something, even when she wasn't feeling up to it. And she was, as a wife and my best friend. She's best friend to everybody from her home friends, her camp friends, her school friends, or the mailman that comes by. She always give him a water bottle. And so now I continue the tradition of giving him a water bottle in her honor. But everybody she met, she could light up a room, and she's so cordial, even when she didn't want to be. She wasn't the center of attention, and she didn't want to be, but she knew how to put on that good face, and people loved her for it. I loved her for it. The boys love her for it. But, I just wanted to say how much she means to everybody, and she's the most selfless person I've ever met. She would, in the middle of the night, she'd get out and drive and do something for somebody who needed it, even if it wasn't urgent. She just wanted to make sure that they were taken care of before herself, and she's the best. She was, she is, she'll always be. And everybody in the room that she touched, and oh man, I didn't have a speech prepared because I didn't think I'd speak this song, because she never lets me speak. So again, sorry. I'll chalk that up for a loss for me, but a loss for you. But at any rate, I just close by saying that she's the greatest person in the world. Even through all the pain she was suffering, she still put on a good face, and she danced with the boys, and we'd have these dance parties, and we'd sing our songs, and she lived her life the way that she wanted to live. And I had thought of something yesterday, and it's so silly and it's so stupid, but it's just so it's so her, is that there is this commercial for Burger King, you guys know, and the raps are back, and BK, have it your way, and we'd sing that stupid song, BK, have it your way, and she had it her way every day, and that was her. And that was Shana Goldberg Perellis. That's who she was. She had it her way, and she did it her way. And there's just things that I always wanted to do, my way, and it's never my way. It's always her way. And I was happy to do that, because you know what? It's a happy wife, happy life, and I'll continue making that stride, so that that it's your way, and we'll just keep doing what we do. So that's it. So everybody who knew her, knows her, and loves her, and will still love her, and just remember, BK, have it your way. So, and that's what she wanted. Thank you, everybody.
I'd like to invite Brother Joey and Sister Liza to Joey.
Thank you all for being here and for touching Shana and Jonathan and our family in so many special ways over the years. Though aware Shana's doctors had found new spots, Shana and us never knew it had gotten so bad. To the very, very end. We were still hopeful and expecting more time with her, but her cancer became very aggressive. Her body was fighting so hard we thought that what she was experiencing is the new chemo. She just started a few weeks ago. But she knew we would be there for Jonathan, Stanley, and Dylan, and we will be. Shana and all of us are grateful for your support during her fight, now and in the future. I know that about my sister. You all made Chicago the best place in the world in her mind. Siblings have their own unique relationships with one another, in addition to their identity and shared relationship as siblings. Liza and Shana's bond is something special, something only sisters could relate to. The bond Shana and I have is tight and special too. The kind where you could read the other's mind. For as long as I can remember, Shana was my little sister. Growing up together was easy. Sure, there were a couple of childish fights over control of the remote or the computer, but we usually always got along. There was a lot of family time with our grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. And Shana and I were blessed to spend countless vacations together in Florida and out east, in Michigan, Mexico, somewhere on a beach. Shana was the one with the sun and beach-themed bat mitzvah. That our childhoods were full of fun memories, reminding us of the fun trips we had taken together. Many, many car rides, including driving her to high school as a senior and freshman. We'd watch the same movies and shows, go to Sox and Bulls games. As many of you would learn, Shana was a great hang. I realize now the reason not having a brother was never a big deal is because I had Shana the whole time. She'd even catch and throw the same as a brother. But Shana was a far better hugger. And what now seems like forever ago, she brought Jonathan and the Perellis family into our lives. Such a sweet, caring man, and the best dad a kid or uncle could ask for. Jonathan was beyond Shana's dream, and the only person that comes anywhere near Shana's selflessness. They comforted and supported each other unconditionally. Shana missed the deadline to start kindergarten by just a day or two, September 2nd. This impacted the class of students Shana would be going through school with, different from the class she had been educated with in preschool. Finding new friends while maintaining relationships with the grade above her was a challenge, but Shana was game for that. She had been playing with all the different kids of all the different families from the JCC, Temple Anshe Sholom, and of course Ravislow, where Shana learned both golf and tennis. But her and I would be at the same house or on vacation, playing with the Krangles, Matazars, Gabbies, Barnetts, so many others. What grade didn't matter. Over time, and back even in those times, we all became close with each other and our siblings. And we're all friends. Shana had been making friends from her very first days. So many of them that are here today. The thing with Shana is that she never stopped making new friends. She was charming someone, making them feel great, picking up their day like my grandma Shirley would. She did that at Chippewa, at HF, Wisconsin. And because of this, she was connected nearly to all the Chicago Jewish geography map. Now as a proud mom, in fact, Dylan's class mom at preschool, going above and beyond and building relationships with her neighbors and the community was very important to her. Seeing that her kids and other kids have everything they need. No surprise if you knew her before, but Shana has been a terrific mom, showering them with love and encouragement like she had been doing it for 30 years. In a short time, due to long trips, she connected with my wife, Sara. She had heard enough from my reports to know she liked her, so she treated Sara like a sister from the first time they met. They shared a deep love for family and both loved kids. What else mattered? The missed deadline also played a role in her relationship with Carly and the Ribbits. Carly had also missed the deadline by a couple days and is a true best friend for life. Same with Amy. Same with Amy, who Shana met in Wisconsin. And Emily and Jen. And so many of you. And it helped shape her. Missing that deadline helped shape her into the friend a lot of us got to know. So we're all lucky she missed that deadline. To those friends, and many, many more of all ages, and all of you supporting Jonathan and our family, Shana loves you. Thank you. She tried so hard. She did to make it, but she just wasn't able to. She's not with my grandma Shirley and grandfathers George and Kalman, who loved and cared for her so much. I know she's in good hands. That leaves us, all of you, the kids and grandkids, to be the community for Stanley and Dylan, like the one Shana and I are grateful for and proud to be a part of to this day. Being there for her boys, showing them love, loving and caring for one another is all she'd ask from us. We say l'chaim to life because we will keep going with her in our memories and by our side. Thank you again. I love you, Shana.
I'd like to invite Shana's sister, Liza.
Shana was my person, my best friend. And my selfish thinking, she's all mine. But I know there are so many people in this room that felt the same way. To know where it was to love her. And if you are in this room, you are the lucky one because you were loved by my sister, Shana Marley Goldberg Perellis. That's the thing about Shana. She loved, cared, cherished, and supported everyone that surrounded her. It wasn't just the people in her life, it was anyone who crossed her path. In the past few years, Shana faced a lot of hurdles in life, but she always put on her Shana Punim smile and faced the world like everything was fine. She would be asking what she could do for you, and if you didn't answer, she already knew what you needed, and it was taken care of immediately. Shana was the best sister and just the best everything to her siblings, parents, friends, grandparents, friends, chippies, home friends, neighbors, and everything in between. She would hang, laugh, sing, shout, be silly. She was always good for the yak. Whichever Shana you needed, she always showed up. She was an encouraging big sister, helping me be the person I am today. I remember as a kid in elementary school, our dad would quiz us for a spelling test. When we got it wrong, he would send us back to our room to keep studying, and I would feel discouraged and upset. Shana would immediately console me with her hand on my shoulder and get me ready to go back to my dad and crush it. My challenges were her challenges, literally, and my successes were her successes. Literally, actually. I was never alone, and she was always there for me as a best friend and as a sister and a mom. Even though I was across the country, I felt like I was next to her on the couch as we spent every day on FaceTime together. She had my back always and forever. When I was with her and her friends, I was never just the little sister, but I was one of them, and she was always the cool older sister that all of my friends looked up to. Shana knew what was important in life and what mattered. She instinctively knew when to show up at the right time and in the right place. As our grandparents got older, it was always her priority to be there for all of them because she knew it would put a smile on her face. She was and continued up to the very end to be everyone's go-to person and the matriarch and caretaker of everyone she knew. Shana was the best friend to many. There are so many friends that she met along her journey who came to be her greatest treasures. She was somehow there for everyone, for all of them, all the time, making each one feel that they were the most important person in her life. And Shana met Jonathan. We really saw her life fall into place. They were a perfect match, and their connection to each other and the world around them was perfectly in sync. Shana was Jonathan's queen and loved her endlessly, always bringing laughter with his dad jokes and silly dances. They found their happy place with their boys, and there was no pulling them away. Shana's greatest accomplishment was being a mom, and she really was the best mom. She did everything for her boys and loved them so much. She showered her boys with so much love, and it shows in the aggressive love Stanley gives back, squeezing, hugging, and kissing everyone. When Dylan was born, Shana's life was truly complete, knowing that her boys now had a best friend for life. Shana's favorite things in life had become Stanley saying mama, his happy dance, her boys' laughter, and their happiness. Shana's love and pride in her boys was overwhelming when you watched her with them. When I found out I was pregnant with Rory, all I wanted to do was emulate Shana and how she was with her boys. Without any notice, she already had my registry created and had shipped me all of her boys' hand-me-downs. Rory really was the best dressed kid on the block and had the most loving aunt that was going to eat him. Shana was the most understanding, selfless, compassionate person in this world who touched everyone she met. There is now a missing piece in all of our hearts. Forever, I will be grateful and proud that she was my sister, and I will always feel her hand on my shoulder. Shane comes, I love you more. I love you more. I'll always love you more.
Now, would like to call Shana's Uncle Phil.
Hi, I'm Phil, Shana Goldberg's uncle. I love saying that. For Jews, one of our primary obligations is to undertake tikkun olam, to perform actions to repair and improve the world. Shana was one of its great practitioners. As her dad said yesterday, Shana touched the world. As a camp counselor to hundreds of girls, Shana served as a role model and mentor that made each of them better people. They then went on to be better family members, better students, life partners, and parents. Her positive effect on our society is staggering. This morning, Robin received a beautiful email from a friend of ours that told the story about Shana took her daughter under her wing even before camp started, when she started her first summer at Chippewa. Our friend said that Shana's kindness was transformative for her daughter, how she made her feel important, seen, and special. And she never stopped being that thoughtful, empathetic, hardworking family member, friend, and mentor. That's what made her such a great partner of Jonathan's, and such a loving and tireless mom to Stanley and Dylan. She was the big sister to my sons, always there for them, in good and bad. Shana and her family joined us for dinner with friends of ours last winter when we were all in California together. After Shana and her family left, our friends were gushing over her, naturally. We soon realized that one of their nieces also went to Chippewa. She was younger. Always the proud uncle, I said that of course she will know Shana. She's a camp legend. I used those words. Her uncle texted his niece and asking her if she knew Shana. 2 seconds later, got a text back saying, Shana Goldberg, she's a camp legend. Last month, I met the niece and sent Shana at a party and sent Shana a picture. And Shana instantly got back to me and we were cracking up about it. And I said, that's my claim to fame. I am your uncle. and couldn't be any prouder. I love Shana and I love being her uncle. I want to leave you with some unclely advice. How do we collectively and individually go on from here? Last month, Shana finally got laid off from Groupon as it circles the drain. Her friends know that Shana was hysterical about when that was going to happen. She couldn't believe it took so long. Her cancer had reappeared by that time, but she wasted no time and went out and got a new job in her field at a great company. Shana lived life to the fullest. Her spirit never stopped fighting. Her body just gave out. How do we go on? It's simple. Follow Shana's example. Work a little harder, both professionally and in your personal relationships. Hug a little tighter. Say I love you to those you love a little more often, and be more present for your family and friends.
I'd like to invite Shana's friend Amy to come speak.
Hi, I'm Amy, and Shana was my best friend. Although calling her that does not truly explain what we were to each other. We were each other's wife, sister, and soulmate, and we decided our relationship needed its own name. And so, as silly as it sounds, we became each other's sham. It was a term that only the two of us, and eventually our husbands, knew, but it was a term that represented everything we were to each other. Shana and I met in college and lived together from senior year until we both moved in with our now husbands. Being from New Jersey, I was immediately welcomed into the Goldberg family, and they have become my family in Chicago. It was just a given that I was invited to all family gatherings and never once felt out of place. And that's who Shana was. She made everyone feel welcomed, comfortable, and just like they belonged. I could stand here and talk about how amazing Shana was for hours, but we all already know that, because if you knew Shana, you immediately knew that she was the best person in the world and everyone's favorite person. So as I hear everyone talk about Shana and the way she touched so many, I realize that what she did for me may not have been unique, but what she allowed me to do for her was. Shana was the most selfless person I've ever met. And I feel so incredibly lucky to not have only experienced that selflessness, but to be one of the few that she let help her and be there for her. That was truly the gift that she gave me. I got to be Shana's person while she was everyone else's person, all while still making me feel like the most important person in the world. She was my sham, and I'm the luckiest person in the world to have had a sham. And every time I hear Stanley call me sham, I know my day will be a brighter one.
Invite Rabbi Paul Kaplan to speak, share memories.
Every life is very valuable, and the loss affects us as all members of the human family. But when the loss is closer to home, the pain is even greater. Shana Goldberg Perellis, her passing has made us all mourners. In times like this, it's hard to find the right words to provide comfort. There are no adequate answers, only pain in our hearts and tears in our eyes. However, we can talk about the impact of an extraordinary woman, Shana Goldberg Perellis, who touched our lives and the world around us. Her existence made the world a better place, and we are all blessed to have known her goodness, which she shared with her family, friends, and everyone she met. Shana's name in Hebrew means beautiful, and it was a fitting name for her because she was beautiful both inside and out. Her smile could light up a room and brighten your day. I recall coming across a Facebook post from Shana and Jonathan where they appeared as proud parents, holding their 2 children and grinning from ear to ear. Another picture, iconic. This is her, right here. Just hold on to it. That laugh, the aura, everything is right here. Shana was a delightful person who radiated positivity wherever she went. I had the privilege of being their rabbi and officiant at their wedding, and Shana was simply stunning in her beautiful dress that was enhanced by her own radiance. Shana and Jonathan went on to build a wonderful family, and her legacy lives on through her 2 children, Stanley and Dylan, Neal and Betti. Shana will always be in your heart and mind, but your grandchildren are the living embodiments of their mother's spirit and likeness. They are the continuation of her story. When I became rabbi at Temple Anshe Sholem, you, Neal, and you, Betti, were the first to extend an invitation for my wife, Linda, and I to meet Joey and introduce our very young children, Shira and Eden, to your very young daughters, Shana and Liza. Your warm and loving family always reached out to others in need, and now it is our turn to be there for you. Only through our genuine empathy, love, care, and concern can we support you and the family as you face the difficult journey through the valley of the shadow of death. I would like to share a final thought with you that I pray will bring some solace, some light in these hours of darkness. I am gone now, but I am still very near. Death can never separate us. Each time you feel a gentle breeze, it's my hand caressing your face. Every time the wind blows, it carries my voice whispering your name. When the wind blows your hair ever so slightly, think of it as pushing me a few stray hairs back in place. When you feel the raindrops fall on your face, it's me placing soft kisses. At night, look up into the sky and see the stars shining so brightly. I am one of those stars, and I'm winking at you and smiling with delight. For never forget, you're the apple of my eye. Finally, keep in mind that God is always with you and will help you get through any difficult times. Also remember, you have family and friends who are always there for you in times of need. Thank you.
So I'm the one person here today to speak who did not know Shana personally. And much of what I have to share has been shared already in ways that are far more personal. I'm humbled to have had the opportunity to have heard these and spent the time with the family. And what I want to offer now is, as a rabbi, the congregation, is a lens, as a Jewish lens, to look at who Shana was and how she was, and in bringing that into dialogue with our tradition, hopefully elevating even further, recognizing the eternal good that people experienced firsthand in knowing Shana, seeing Shana as part of a tradition that traces back as the values that guided her life as holy and divine. And we can take that inspiration looking at this time of year, as we're now in the festival of Sukkot, a time when Jews build temporary huts and go out and spend time eating together. At the center of this practice is the idea of ushpizin, of inviting others in, providing hospitality. First and foremost, this is, as a host, about care for others, which, as we know, Shana put everyone else first. Just last week, when her father-in-law had knee surgery, her concern was about him, not her own health needs. When she went to see physicians, it was questions about them, their kids summer plans, maybe potential Chippewa attendees. If you asked her how she was doing, the answer was always fine. This was not, as it might be with others, a passive-aggressive ploy for attention. She was fine. She had her world, everything she could have wanted. It was easy for her to care for others because she never needed much herself, because she had so much love. She just didn't want things. As a young child on vacation, while others might run around gawking at the tchotchkes in the gift shop, she just wanted to maximize her time with the one she loved, until her grandparents had to drag her in, insist on buying something to remember. She didn't need it. And if she did go into the gift shop, she was just as likely to make a new friend or find someone in need, a stranger who maybe, as she did one time on the plane, offer to fix their phone, someone who she could help. As a host, as part of Ushpizin, you serve others, but not in a way that brings you attention, because as we heard, she was never the center of attention, and as so many knew, she wasn't the party animal. She was the one who would throw the party, stay level-headed, bail out those who needed it, literally and figuratively, clean up afterwards. And that was until Jonathan came along, because he was the cleanup guy. People knew this. They came to rely on her. She was a rock, legendary. Anything you could do, truly, she could do better. A Jackie of all trades. When it came to motherhood, she was a quick study and a natural. She read all the books, and the ones that she passed along to you, you'd know were good, because with everything, she vetted it. And if it met her standards, you knew it was the gold standard. Or should I say the Goldberg standard. Just because she didn't seek the limelight doesn't mean that she wasn't charismatic. She had a smile that could light up a room. Used it not to say, look at me, but rather to signal to others that now that she was here, good times were guaranteed. Sukkot is known in our tradition as Zman Simchatenu, the time of our joy, meant to be the most joyful holiday of the year. She delighted in others' joy. It was like that. She was the one behind the scenes, the observer, taking it all in so she could see what was needed and make it even better. While Liza was an actual cheerleader, she was Liza's cheerleader. She was everyone's cheerleader. Not an outrageous joke teller, though she usually recounted funny stories better than the ones who experienced them, I'm told. She was funny, a low-key humor. Funny terms of phrase, that delicious piece of cake falling off your plate onto the floor, man down. She knew how to play an audience, but not in a schmoozy, calculated way. She did it with authenticity to create connections and strengthen bonds. The Sukkah brings people together to form close bonds, to build community. And that's exactly what Shana did every day of the year. There were no in-laws, only family. There were sisters, not in-law, mother, father. If you were a friend of the family, then you were family. If you were a friend of a friend, you were her friend. And quite frankly, if you were a friend, you were family. Throughout her life, she just collected people, never letting any people go. Chippewa, HF, Wisconsin, Groupon, Shana welcomed all comers. This was something she got from her parents and grandparents, a final connection to the Ushpizin. There's a tradition that among the actual guests we bring in, we bring the spirits of our ancestors, patriarchs, matriarchs, but even those in our family more recently. We bring them in and take inspiration from the lessons of their lives, and get guidance from them, follow their example. And that's exactly what she did. She was the ultimate representation of learning from the spirit of her elders and care for them. Each and every one. And again, if you were in-laws, you were family. Her own grandparents, Jonathan's grandparents. She made sure to visit and visit often. They were never alone. We sit in a sukkah to remember the way ancient Israelites lived as they traveled in the desert from slavery in Egypt to the Promised Land. 40 years they traveled. Truth is, though, if they had the Shana Goldberg travel agency, they would have had there much faster. Shana served for her grandmother and others. She always knew the best rate, the best way to go. She could connect you, hook you up. How perfect she would have been guiding those Israelites through. Who better suited than a camp counselor? Just ask any of her Chippewa campers. She would have had those Israelites marching and singing and having a grand time. And what's more, those Israelites we know were a bunch of kvetchers. They could have learned a thing or two from her in that department as well. All the treatments she went through, all the limitations on her time, her body, you'd never know it. She wanted to live life to the fullest, to live with such, and she did live with such fullness. It's as if she cast a spell, making everyone forget just how sick she was. Certainly why her death came as such a shock. The sukkah is the most basic form of a home. Even with decoration, it will never have an in-ground pool or tennis courts or a helicopter pad. It's just what you see is what you get. Even a beautiful sukkah is still a sukkah. No need for any of that fancy stuff. Just like Shana. She saved her energy for the important things. For her engagement, when offered the opportunity of expensive jewelry or something else, she went for a good driver to fill out her golf clubs. That was her. And that's how it should be. Ultimately, what the sukkah is about is the essence of a home, not the trappings, but really what it's about. That wherever you go, you set up shop, and that's your home. And your home is where you bring people in. You create a tribe around you, and you take care of them, and you let them feel like they belong, which is exactly what she did everywhere she went. A new tribe, bringing her old tribe with her. Shana was born into a family with older brother Joey, the first grandson, and a boy no less. He had a kind of royal standing. Shana was not going to let that stand. She challenged him every step of the way so that he would take nothing for granted, whether it was control of the remote, the front seat, calling shotgun 45 minutes before leaving the house, even precious Bulls tickets, which as the boy should have been his, no? But he was better for it. Not to take things for granted, not to get everything given. Healthy competition, loving competition. What greater gift can we give someone else than humility, true humility? Liza came along. She watched out for her. Homesick at camp. She could come and stay in Shana's bunk, which was a big enough treat, but as the oldest girls, all other girls in camp were locked out. Not Liza. And this was not just at camp. Everywhere, it's like the velvet rope opened for her. The older girls invited Liza in because of Shana. If there was trouble with schoolwork, Shana was there to help, teach, coach, cheer her on. And her parents, they got the deal of the century. So much bang for their buck. Already as a tween, she was the kind of hostess that she would develop into, or really not develop, came out fully formed. Setting up, cleaning, the perfect glue for this incredibly close threesome. Neal and Betti always knew that they could leave them behind to take care of each other. So much love, and of course Shana's responsibility. She always knew what to do. To her friends, she was a leader, not just there to make sure things get done, but she had an intuitive understanding of the value and importance of adults, role models, those in charge, respect for them. She built relationships. She made things happen, but authentically. She knew that there was wisdom there. And as we heard, truly everyone was her person, making everyone feel special with inside jokes, winks, and nods. She remembered those kinds of things, every detail. Know that Shana always wanted a soulmate and a family. And thanks to Chippewa and Coffee Meets Bagel, she met Jonathan, and it was on. They just made sense. Before Jonathan, she would travel and go out with Jonathan. They'd stay at home, walk in the neighborhood, go to the local park, spend time soaking up every ounce of Chicago, her city, the city she loved so much. And if you wondered why things changed in this radical way from traveler to homebody, the lyrics of their favorite song, played for their first dance, Better Together by Jack Johnson, explains. Love is the answer, at least for most of the questions in my heart, like why are we here and where do we go and how come it's so hard? It's not always easy and sometimes life can be deceiving, but I'll tell you one thing. It's always better when we're together. And it was. An incredible team made only stronger by Stanley and Dylan. She was the ultimate MOB, mom of boys. Born to it. All the fashion, the flair that she avoided for herself, she channeled to them, the most fashionable boys in daycare and on the playground. Perfect. She was sporty, rough and tumble, and her bond, it went beyond close. It was telepathic. as Stanley had started to speak in jumbled, hard-to-comprehend sounds, the beginnings of words, she always knew exactly what he was saying. And share one final connection to Sukkot. This time we leave our permanent home and we're guided to dwell in these temporary dwellings, purposely so, not full, not solid. We go out there into nature, vulnerable to the elements, to appreciate the fleeting nature of all that we have, knowing that it can be gone in a moment. Possessions, loved ones, life. It's a painful, gut-wrenching truth. Yet Shana also showed all that she knew how much beauty and joy there is in life. How to go forward. A saying that Jonathan and Shana would share. Whenever the enormity of the future felt too much, looking down the road further and further, how to handle it. Jonathan would turn to Shana and say, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." It's hard to fathom the future, months, days, years ahead. Now we take one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, and know that we are left truly with a blessing that Shana gave to all of us in our lives. Among those was her love of music, of song, of vitality in life. And I asked the family, might there be some songs, Jewish songs, that would be appropriate for a time such as this? And they offered a few, and I want to share one of them with you. Because right now, a time of turmoil and pain, what we are looking for, praying for, is peace, moments of peace. In Hebrew, peace is shalom, connected to the word shalem, to feel whole again. Everyone who knew Shana is certainly missing a piece. And so, in praying for shalom, we also pray for wholeness. And we remind ourselves that we'll fill that gap with the memories and the stories and the gifts that Shana brought to our lives. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom, ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol et uvechol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Ar Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Ar Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. And thank you, Shana, for your gift of song and joy. Your spirit lives on, and we celebrate the life that you lived. Moment I will recite El Malei Rachamim, prayer asking the soul of the one who has passed be bound up in the soul of the living. That soul is bound up through the gift of memory. As long as we live, as long as our memories are shared, our stories are shared, Shana will be with us, and her life will be bound up in ours. I'll read the English, followed by chanting of the Hebrew for El Malei Rachamim. O God, full of compassion, and dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence among the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of Shana Marley Goldberg Perellis, who is gone into eternity. Lord of mercy, bring her under the cover of thy wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life, the bond of our lives, the land of the living. Be God's possession, and may her repose be peace. I invite you, as you're able to stand, El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Amtsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina. Im Kedoshim Uteorim, Kezohar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Shana Bat Nachum Vebatya Shalcha Leolama. Baal Rachamim Yastireya Beseter Knafav Leolamim Vitzror Achayim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachalata ותנוח בשלום על משכבה Vinomar. Amen. You may be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, the interment service will continue at Shalom Memorial Park Cemetery located at 1700 West Rand Road in Arlington Heights. Upon the completion of the burial service, everyone's invited to Ravinia Green Country Club at 1200 Saunders Road in Riverwoods, and the family will be together till 8 p.m. Please make a donation to help the world, to make the world a better place, because we all lost a really great one. For those of you who are online, you'll find the information about Shiva on the website. For those of you who will be driving in the funeral procession to the cemetery, the procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please obtain an orange safety funeral sticker to place on the right-hand side of your windshield. Have your bright lights and hazard lights on at all times. For additional measures of safety, we'll have a car in the back of the procession to hopefully keep other cars from entering the procession. Please use your horn liberally as you're going through the intersections. And please do not speak or text on your cellular phone while driving to a cemetery. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we invite those of you who have been asked to serve as pallbearers to please stand next to Shana's casket as we escort her from the chapel. And as a gentle reminder to everyone else, if you're not going to the cemetery, please exit the parking lot as soon as you can. And if you are going, and if you're parked somewhere else, the route we are taking is we're going to go south on Buffalo Grove Road to Dundee and then west. Please rise as we escort Shana's casket from the chapel.